Welcome back. It's episode 6 of the Cobain Report. I am Rock Cobain, and this is
Tramell.
You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode. Today we have a few special guests in the building. I'm so excited. I got one of my homies, day ones. I'm talking about 04, 05, way back then. Craig Mizell is in the building.
Yay. What up, though?
What up, Craig?
What up, though?
And today we also have one of the biggest personalities in Lansing. 517-614, Columbus's own. The big man, Jim Vegas, is here with me today. Y'all make some noise for Jim Vegas.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Oh, yeah, this has been coming for a minute.
Yeah.
Been trying to get these two on for a while, so we're going to have a great episode. Tramell, what you got for us today?
Man, we're going to get into a few things with these guys. First, before we get into these topics, we're going to get into the music with these guys, you know. Mizell, I'm going to start off with you, man.
Yeah, sure.
When did you start, taking your, musical journey?
When I got serious about it, I was 13. I was living in Flint. I was just a drummer. And me getting serious about it was me learning how to play the piano. And when I learned how to play the piano, then that's when music was able to open up for me, creating music, all that jazz. So I've been doing it since I was 13, but then I bumped into Greg, or Cobain. Bumped into Cobain when I was 16. I was like 04, 03, 04. It was like the summer. And ever since then, we had locked in, and he started teaching me how to produce and how to hear music, like from a different space than just, you just a keyboard player. So he helped me learn how to track, all that good stuff. So that was kind of like the origins of me. I had been tracking on keyboards and stuff like that, but he taught me how to do it in Reason, and I didn't know how to do it. Like, it was the first introduction to Reason, so I was doing everything on the Triton Pro X, making the whole track. So I was sequencing like a mug, you know what I'm saying? But then he opened me up to, learning about computers and plugins and, and then every time he learned something new, he was teaching me. And then when I kind of got going in the industry for real, and when I learned stuff, he never had a problem coming, hey, how you do this, bro? How you,
never,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
never,
that's just always been our relationship. So he never thought of it like, because I taught him, I can't learn nothing from it. It was always, what's up? So,
Each one teach one.
Definitely,
sure.
definitely. Mizell has been a prodigy, I'm talking about, in music since he, like he said, 16 years old. Dude, he was filling up services and doing the things that you wouldn't expect for a 16-year-old to be able to do in church. I mean, like a grown man. You know what I'm saying? His sound is huge. His sound is big. Pause. That's one for this episode, by the way. That's one pause. That's one. All right. So, but speaking of big, he has a new single out that is called Big. That song is so dope. It is one of the best songs that I've heard. Gospel songs. I mean, it's only 2024. We just started, but hey, that's my favorite one so far. You know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit about Big.
So big guy, boom, boom. That was it was a brainchild basically of myself. Let me put it like this. We was in rehearsal one night, and one of the ladies, she's one of the praise team worship leaders, her name is Janae. She started singing it like, everything you do it well. Hey,
That's dope.
Because I was just playing this groove. Boom, 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 boom.
Which you always do. Just go into a groove out of nowhere.
You know what I'm saying? And she just started catching that boy. I was like, stop everything. We recording that. Somebody record that right now. Recorded that. And the song wasn't, we went to the studio. I told her to come to the studio. And it wasn't finished yet. We wrote a couple of verses, but it was something still missing. So then I let my bro Kevin Stewart hear it. He was like, yo, I need to add something to this because it's not finished yet. He can handle it.
One of the hardest that
like,
record,
boom, like,
bro, that record's so fucking fire, dog.
So it was like right there, the song's finished now, written. And then it took me about a year to actually produce the whole song. And not because I was dragging my feet, not because anything. This is every time I would listen to the car, okay, I can do this, I can do that. Something new would come to my mind, and then started just shuffling pieces. So it was really, at the essence of it is just collaborative movements. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of learned that working with you.
I noticed that you got Detroit Youth Choir on there too,
Yeah,
man.
for sure,
That's
for sure.
crazy. You got Detroit Youth Choir,
Yeah.
one of the most famous choirs in Detroit. How the
sure.
heck did you get DYC?
Man, I've been rocking with Anthony White since 2006 when we was over at
Kaddish.
because his family was a part of that church. Some of his family. So I locked in with him, and that was before he started doing DYC. So we always just been tight. And, and he was always telling me, man, DYC gonna be this and they gonna be that. And they was like, at the time he was telling me they wasn't there yet. So I was trying to see it. I was like,
see it with your producer.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, whatever you, man, I'm with you. Whatever I can do to help you, I got you, bro. So it started working out, and then, I never brought him a song that he really liked for the choir until we got to this. And I brought him this, and I was like, man, I just want y'all to be on this, because I was doing this project called the 5 for 5.
Okay.
Five artists.
Which I did see live one time. It was dope as heck.
Yeah, it was we did 2 iterations of it. The second time that we recorded this song, it was the choir version. So I needed a youth song, like a youth choir song, because there hasn't been one since maybe like Hang On In There. You know what I'm saying? Ain't been one. So I was like, we need something. So this just, came out of that, man. And there we go. We got all
Song
these
of the year.
collaborations and everything, man.
Song of the year.
So we
Detroit's Gospel Song of the Year for sure.
That's
If
what's
Cobain
up.
got anything to say, I'm stamping that one, okay? As long as Wanda Nero Butler don't drop a record. This is my favorite Gospel Song of the Year. T-Mail, what you got for him?
Nah, man, that's dope. With the big guy, we're gonna go over to Lansing with the big karaoke.
Okay. Okay.
You do nice, real nice events
Yeah.
with the karaoke, man.
Thank you, man.
How did you get started with this? Because I attended one, and it was jam packed wall to wall.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. So karaoke kickback had eventually started. Somebody told me, I told a story one time, and they were like, "You told the story wrong." Karaoke started. I hope she see this. Karaoke started with a couple friends of mine. I ain't gonna say no names because people were like, "Oh, that's who you." No,
Okay.
couple friends of mine.
All right.
I was at her house, and we just started doing karaoke, and it was a whole little vibe. And then maybe like 6 months later, another set of my friends, we were hanging out at a spot in Lansing, and man, we had to wait like probably an hour to 2 hours through like, country, show tunes, rock. And I'm good with it. I DJ everything. So I was like, I'm cool. But at the same time, I don't even want to do my song no more. I just want to go home. And so another friend was like, I think you could do it on your own somewhere if you wanted to. And so I was like, all right, well, I want to do it my way. And I put something together that was more for us in the space of everybody's included, but this is, please believe this is an R&B, hip-hop, trap karaoke.
And see, what I can speak to from living in Lansing as well is that the culture there is a little diluted, right? So to have something that is ours in a space that speaks to us and that really like gives us a chance to show what we can bring to the table is crazy for that area.
Right. Because you may get, and again, you've seen this, you may get church in there. We may be on some trap. It may be a twerk contest. It may be a DJ battle.
Bro,
dance contest. Ain't no telling what you're going to get in there. But at the same time, like, and I'm happy to say that we're approaching our 2-year anniversary with it, man. We ain't had no fights, no major issues, Everybody get that, get some liquor in them and be like, watch where you, but nobody really has made a thing out of it. And I'm grateful for that. And so with that, now I look back, we host twice a week, and now we've added multiple shows in the Lansing area, some paid shows, some free shows, and people come out and support no matter what. And we've been able to take it to Las Vegas, to Phoenix, to Columbus, to other markets, man. And
that's dope.
We just trying to, the way I am, I'm old school with my approach with things. So we market and promote, and sometimes you got to throw your own money at it until somebody else say, I see where you at with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So as much as I know, Jen, you dropped the album before, right? You an artist too, right? You don't want to talk about that, huh? But you're an artist too, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the music, man.
You know what, man? And this is the God's honest truth. Like when I was 12, I would say 12, 13, like my mindset was always to be in the Berry Gordy space, right? Like, so like I knew that there were artists that were rich, but I knew if the artist was rich, the person behind them had to be a whole lot richer.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that as a kid. And I remember by the time I was probably like 17, and people was looking at me like I was crazy because I was 18. I had just got a couple little dollars, and I was telling people last month of high school, I was like, "Hey man, you got talent," and they looking at me like, "Nigga, shut up! I tutor you. We in the same class,
right? Like
you got talent,
that's
and I'm gonna sign you. I'm gonna give you $1,000. Now we gonna press these CDs up. You gonna run me my money, and you ain't gonna get no money until I get." They looking like, "What are you talking?" That was up here
business,
to people that I grew up with, you know, because people love you where you are, but hate you where you going a lot of times, man.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, I got to try it myself first. So I started recording some music, and I wasn't too thrilled with mine. Like I put some stuff out there, but I enjoyed the behind the scenes work. And so we were able to take our behind the scenes work and build relationships, and even in gospel and hip hop and R&B and you know, some good friends of mine that I was able to work with a little bit and learn from and maybe pour into them. They nominated for 2 Grammys this year. That's huge to us.
That's
you know what I'm
huge.
saying?
That's huge. That
Watching
huge.
where their journey was 5 years ago to where they are now. And then, you know, a gospel group I used to work with for years out of Columbus, Ohio, Men of God's Heart. Shout out to my boys, man. We literally, me and the founder of the group used to work at a call center together and was like, we hate this job. One day we getting out of here. One day we getting out of here. And then we lost touch for a minute, got back together. He's like, I got this group. You want to be in it? And I was like, no, because there's 8 of y'all and ain't nobody finna get no money. But I can be back here as a consultant. You know, we were able to build and build and build. And while they were honing their skills on stage, I was learning the business side. I'm like, well, you know, all we got to do is X, Y, Z. And then we were able to get a Billboard or multiple Billboard placements, a Stellar Award nomination as an completely independent act. And a lot of that was from physical CDs because we understood, and as most people will understand, everybody in this room, historically, gospel music is 10 years behind in certain spaces, so we could still sell CDs in 2017.
For sure.
So now I'm, you know, just doing my radio thing and the karaoke's and working as a consultant, man, and loving life.
No, man, that's
dope.
awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely dope. Now, Mizell, like with this big guy, what would you say, you know, your favorite part of the process is, if you have a favorite part, as far as when it comes to making the music, writing it, you know, or hearing it?
Man, I think probably I haven't taken as much joy in seeing people's reaction to music as I have with my own as an artist. I think as a producer, you're just like, all right, get the music out, on to the next. Like even right now, like I'm promoting this stuff for myself, but I'm working on like 6, 7 other people's stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? At the same time. So it's like you don't get to just take a break and trying to just, you know, take it all in. You know what I'm saying? And really appreciate what everybody's saying to you about your music. So to be able to this time be in this artist chair, it's also a little bit more nerve wracking though too, because now you have to okay, yeah, you know, yeah, all right, okay, great. You got 10,000 streams this week, you know, off of your initial joint, but me as an executive, who's over other people's, you know, progress of their careers, I have to still look at it like that angle as well. Like, okay, that's cool, but now, like, how we get to 20? How we get to 30? How we doing that every week?
To at least
you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I mean, just I think looking at it on the back end and being able to see people's faces and see people's reactions to it.
That's dope. That's dope. Now, we had a little conversation before we started. Everybody has a little background in church, you know, so, you know, the cups runneth over, you know, here. Now, are you all familiar with this Stanley Cup that's been, like, you know, trending and people been going crazy over?
Yeah.
What y'all think about this in the, you know, frenzy with this, cup and people trampling and fighting each other in Target.
Well, let me start first. I don't know about the Stanley Cup.
I don't know.
So I have no.
Whoa, okay.
Just give me a good Yeti. I mean, I'm good to go. So yeah.
Share your thoughts on
So
this
Jen,
cup.
as the radio host, I know you done heard a lot about this Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
Really,
you know what?
so
I have, man. And
lately.
honestly, I be so busy and locked in my own world. So when I kept hearing Stanley Cup, I was like, the Red Wings didn't put it down.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Because I'm from Columbus. I'm like a Blue Jackets fan all day. So I was
Right.
like, I don't care about who they talking
yeah,
about.
for sure.
And then I seen the cup, and I was like, oh, this is another episode of Sheeple going wrong.
So for me, right, I just literally had this conversation with one of my employees yesterday. So when you work in the corporate world, right, this is a thing. So one of my coworkers came to me and said, bro, somebody stole my Stanley Cup. And she said who she thought stole it. And I was like, well, I mean, whatever, but these Stanley Cups are a huge thing, but it's literally based off from a commercial, right? So a lady's car caught on fire and the cup was in the car. They went to the junkyard the next day to check on the car.
And the cup was still there.
And she shook it and the ice was still cold.
Oh, okay.
So you can't pay for promotion like that, right?
No, not at
So
all.
the Stanley president got on and made a commercial saying, this you can't buy this kind of publicity. So we're gonna replace your car. They bought her a car and they gave her a whole lot of Stanleys.
Okay.
But ever since that, right, white folk been going crazy.
Crazy about the Stanleys.
I'm gonna just put the elephant out there in the room. My boy Zach here, he's white, but I love Zach. He knows this.
Shout out Zach.
Zach
Where's Zach
sings
at?
R. Kelly, so Zach is a part of what's going on. White folk have made this like black folk and Michael Jordans, okay?
Look in the
Niggas fight over Michael Jordans at the store. White folk fight over Stanleys at the store. It's $75 for a goddamn cup.
Yeah, I'm good.
I drink my liquor out of a bottle.
Hey, look, in the city of Roseville, California, a woman
Damn
stole...
it, I said what I said. Go ahead, T-Man.
in the city of Roseville, California, a woman stole $2,500 worth of these
I
cups.
saw that.
You going to prison over a goddamn
The
cup.
officer pulled all these cups out her trunk like it was like some drugs or something.
Man,
you know what
bro,
I mean?
the
These
new
cups,
heroin.
It's crazy. It's
Stanley
crazy.
Cup. And I think it was a addition that they had there with Bath and Body Works. I think it was that.
Okay.
No,
that sent the white,
Starbucks.
Starbucks. That
Yeah,
sent the white folks
Starbucks.
into a frenzy. I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't never seen white folk fight in public since kid baby dolls and goddamn beanie babies. Okay, they fighting over Stanley Cups, bro. Cups.
And the marketing, like you said, with the car burning
You
up,
can't
and just
pay for that.
just the name alone, because like
Can't
it's
pay
a
for that
cup,
marketing.
so it goes hand in hand. Stanley Cup. Like I was thrown off like he was as far as thinking about this being the NHL championship.
And you already know how they about to cross promote that. That's about to
Yes.
be crazy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's about to be nuts. Bro.
Shout out to the Stanley Cup CEO.
Right,
Yes.
send the Cobain Report a few Stanley Cups and make sure they blue on neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? T-Mail, what else you got for us, man?
Nah, man. So we got something a little bit more serious going on in the news. You all, I don't know if you all familiar with it. What you do on the radio, you might have heard of it. You've been busy producing, so I don't know if it's like bypassed you. But have you all heard of this sextortion? It's a thing where people are threatening people to publish their information that they've been intimately sending between each other. So it's been teenagers, particularly sending pictures to one another. And they think they're sending them to one another, but it's actually somebody out
In
in the
Nigeria.
country. Yeah, it's somebody
hacked an account.
Yeah, and this person starts, extorting them, threatening them to
Tell they
expose
mama,
these pictures,
tell
and
the
everything
whole
like
school.
that. We gonna go with you first, man. What you think about, this sextortion?
You ever been caught in a sextortion case before, Jen? Tell the truth. Ashamed the devil.
I mean, listen, I have been wise enough to kind of stay away from that myself.
Okay.
Now, whatever comes to my phone, I ain't gonna, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I ain't just anybody out here. So,
Yeah, so you gotta be wise.
But no, I mean, I think it's crazy. Like, my thing is, like, with that, it's always been lost on me how people will send pictures just, as my grandma used to say, all willy-nilly.
Man.
Like, if you in a relationship or y'all in a certain space, do your thing. But, like, I need, in my life, you'll remember this. Y'all might not to be too far from my age. Inspector Gadget, he used to get a message that would self-destruct. That's the kind of energy I need for any of that kind of stuff. But it's crazy, man, because the sad part is a lot of kids are in that space.
Right.
And like I knew of a situation with a girl one time, and she was at the point of getting ready to kill herself from somebody, this boy, sending a video out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Yeah.
we all been there before,
for
but
sure.
it's some new kind of kids, man.
Yeah, man. I just
What you think, Mizell?
kids, man. They live in a different space. Even when I think about when I was in high school, like that was the beginning. I think my freshman year, maybe the Nextel with the blue cover on it that had the camera. That was
I-90?
like that
I-90?
was like the
Was that an I-90?
I think that might have been my junior year maybe. So like the access that they have,
Right.
the internet being on phone, and then parents not just standing their ground,
Right.
I think is a problem. When you're talking about parents not saying I'm not getting you a cell phone because you're not ready. No, you're not going to have a TikTok. No, you're not. I mean, really think about it. Do you want your kids exposed to the stuff that you see it on TikTok, and that's what they can be exposed to?
And the crazy part is we talk junk about Kanye West for him standing his ground with Northwest about having a TikTok.
Yeah, for
but I
sure.
mean, as a man who just had a daughter, my daughter's 3 years old, and I look at the world totally different than I did 3 years ago, right? And my daughter will not have a phone, a beeper, or nothing till she's 47 years old in my house because I refuse to let the devil creep in through technology.
Well, you
Social-
know, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
go ahead.
I want to kind of interject, and this is something, you know, we all have a faith-based background or whatever, but this is nothing outside of what the word says, because the word says the generations get wiser, right? Now, 50 years ago, that may have had a different meaning because they didn't have nothing. You know, back then, the generations getting wiser was like somebody told you something you wasn't supposed to know. These kids can tell us everything now.
Yeah.
And this, you know,
They teach you how to
technology
use the shit.
has put them in that space to have the one up on us. You're like, "Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I blame the internet. No.
No,
it's
I
definitely in there.
agree. I agree. And you know, for me, I look at it. It seemed like adults are starting to act like children on social media.
Man.
You know, when you see a infant, you know, child learning to crawl or walk, for whatever reason, they don't like to keep their clothes on. You know, and that's the same with women. You know, you open it up like you said. You know, this is not like really safeguarded for children. You know what I mean? You open up your social media, you could be with your wife, you know, your spouse, whatever, and you got women showing all they
Everything,
you know what I mean?
dog.
And it's just kind of
Everything,
childish,
bro.
you know what I mean? I get it. People are getting paid for or sponsored by, you know, different things, but it's like, you know, it's kids out there that got those and they can't be, you know, guarded from it.
No, sad thing about this time and space, like we said before on a different episode, it's more stuck to the parent having to have control over what the child is watching. At the end of the day, man, parenting is your job. It's not the internet's job to parent your child. It's your job. So parents have to, you know, you got to step in a little bit more nowadays.
Parents
dog.
got lazy. Parents got lazy though, because it's easy for me if I got stuff to do, you know, and I got my kid with me. It's easier for me to put an iPad in front of them, give them my cell phone, and they just do whatever they're gonna do. Instead of actually bringing, if I'm sitting on a keyboard playing, you know, hey, have my kid sitting right there, learn something.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure, like we
instead of-
used to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what it was.
Yeah, you would sit at the drums and watch, but now you give them the iPad and you say, hey, but then it comes to the fact, like he said, it's a lot of teenagers that's going through the sextortion, man, because their frontal cortex is not fully hardened yet to the point to where they don't even really understand. The person that you texting on the other side is in Nigeria, sitting here waiting. He's already got all of your friends added to his page as his friend, and as soon as you don't send him the $50, he's sending this picture to everybody that's already accepted him as a friend, because their goal is to hustle. They trying to feed their family. $100 American over there, you a king.
Yep.
And if you can get a rich person $500, right, it'll change your life off one scam in Nigeria. So we have to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable as parents, you know, to kind of step in and watch what your kids are doing. No, we can't tell them. I mean, you can tell them not to have Instagram, Facebook, but at the end of the day, bro, they're going to do what they want to do.
Look, hold on. I'm gonna help you out. My 10-year-old son.
Yeah.
No,
I
you
went through
can't have a TikTok. No, you can't have Instagram. Oh no, this Negro, he's smart as a whip, dog.
Did the same thing.
Smart as a whip. Oh, he went and created new emails.
On the all
this is stuff that I didn't even know how to do when I was a
went
kid.
through this same thing with my children, which you've been a part of me raising.
For sure.
Literally, dude, when I used to tell my kids no Facebook, no all of that. So once I noticed that they were still doing it, I wanted to approach it a different way. So what I did was went ahead and said, okay, we're going to do this, but I'm going to do the name, I'm going to do all the things, and we're going to be friends, and I'm going to run the page, and we both going to run it until you get a certain age.
For sure.
Because then I can monitor it at my own speed.
For sure.
Because instead of my kids lying to me, telling me that they don't have the shit, and then I go and find a video that's on my damn search thing out of nowhere. Like, what the hell is my son doing on damn, who put this video up there? Then it's a weird name, son of TikTok or some weird shit, because they don't feel comfortable or safe enough to tell you because they know whatever, right? So I approached it differently. I said, okay, we're gonna do it together, so I can kind of monitor. Like I said in a different episode, I've never been the type of father who goes through my kids' phones. I'm just not. I don't want to see that shit because that's child robbery, and I don't want none of no parts of that. Children, peppercorn, pepperonis, right? Keep that to yourself, little brothers. But boys will be boys. I got 3 boys. My son turned 17 tomorrow. I got another one that's turning 19, another one that's turning 11. At all the ages I was fucking.
Man.
Every one of them ages I was fucking. Me. So it's, you know what I'm saying? I got to understand, like, they're going to be men and they're going to do what they're going to do. But I have to be a father. And be a part of what's happening. I can't tell you, I mean, it's not gonna happen in this world, bro. They'll make it even. Them kids smarter than us. Like you said, they'll teach you how to use Microsoft everything.
Yep, for sure.
I taught my mom the computer. I taught my mom Excel. I taught my mom PowerPoint. Me. So my kids is learning shit at a whole different rate than when I'm 40. So we have to, as parents, tighten up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't see your daughter titties on the internet. T-Man, what you got for us next? Sorry about that.
Like, follow up with what Cobain said, tighten up and let's get us into the church. You know, get back to the church. And it's a little difficult, you know, because we're going to go to Mississippi. You know, Pastor Ricky Scott, the East St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church was terminated January 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. He had a lot of extramarital affairs going on in the church. You know, growing up, like we all said, we've got a little background or history, you know, coming up in church, and it was just certain things that didn't happen, you know, or certain things we didn't know nothing about. You know,
it was happening.
Now, you know, it's out in the open. It was a, you know, video footage of, like, you know, the members recording the mistress coming in, you know, to fight the first lady. You know what I mean, at this church, and it was because the mistress is pregnant, you know, and for whatever reason, I don't know if the pastor is, like, you know, trying to deny his responsibility or whatever, but the church, you know, of course, stood up and said, you know, we got to, like, remove you. And he refused, you know. So how do you guys feel about what's going on in today's
walking in
churches?
holy boldness. Jen, what you think about that,
Jen,
man?
What you think
It's
about
crazy, man, because it's a movie on Tubi right now, just like that.
It is.
Just
And this
like
is real
that.
life.
Except the
You're right.
pastor had the chick pregnant and his wife was pregnant at the same time.
Yep.
And the pastor on there was like, when he caught her somewhere, he's like, man, how you trying to mess up what I got going on? I mean, that's what he said. But I think, like, you know, there were always things going on in the church. And unfortunately, man, we are flesh, you know, and the flesh is weak. And I think, thinking about a situation I knew about with a pastor that had a very similar situation, you know, the church was like, yeah, bro, you're going to have to slide. And he was like, I built this church. I ain't going nowhere. Y'all leave. And a lot of them left.
As they should.
You know.
Mizell, what you think?
Man, you know, typically I stay out of these kind of conversations.
Welcome
but
to
I'm
the Cobain
gonna
Report.
Go ahead and talk about it.
Welcome to the report, sir.
No, man, I mean, you know, those are some unfortunate choices. That's really what it comes down to, is like we make choices and all of sin and falling short, you know, but at the end of the day, man, you know, you got to be able to have some accountability and have somebody who can hold you accountable. You know, I think having somebody in your life that can say, hey, G, that's going to take you the wrong way. Hey, G, that's going, you know. So I'm talking from the standpoint of the pastor, like, yo, he got to have people around him that's like, this not a good move, bro. And then your integrity space as a person, you know, you have to just say, what do I want to be remembered as? You know, because if I'm check up out of here today, what are these people going to say about me? And you can't take the approach, I don't care. Like, I don't care doesn't work, especially when you got kids. Because there's a legacy that you leave behind. So what's your legacy? Where you know, ransacking through your whole congregation, where you at your job, you know, man who works a regular job, you at your job hitting all of the chicks on the line. You know, what is it? What's your legacy going to be? Are you going to have kids all over the world? You going to say, I'm going to be like, you know, if you got kids with another woman, okay, but are you going to say, I got 30 kids with 10 women? Like with 20 women? Like what? Like what's your integrity meter? When is your ceiling going to start to say, that ain't integral? You know what I'm saying? I think that's what it comes down to.
No, man, you know, it's funny because I think it's about discipline. You know, a lot of men, you know, I think you just said as far as the flesh being weak, you got to be a little bit more stronger. You know, our grandfather was a pastor.
Yeah, he was.
And I'm not going to mention who grandmother it was, but it was someone from the church. Grandmother came over to, you know, give him his suit for, you know, the anniversary. My grandmother had passed on by this time. And this young lady, well, this older lady, tried to get in the room with him, you know, and he refused, you know, and he told my mom at the time he didn't want this lady back over. You know, his wife was who he was with, and that was the only person that he had wanted to be with. She had, you know, preceded him in death, and he didn't want to go with, you know, be with nobody else. That was a lot of discipline. Because, I mean, like you said, as far as the flesh, it don't matter what age you are, you're going to, like, you know, fall to temptation. Right. He didn't, you know, fall to it. He was able to resist it, and I felt like it was his discipline.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this world, T-Mill, nowadays the pastors aren't as disciplined as what we grew up under. The truth about it is, you know, and it goes twofold, right? Because back in the day, you would have a pastor who had a family on the east side and a pastor who had a family on the west side, right? So nowadays, people are exposing you. It goes back to what we stated earlier. People are exposing. The Me Too movement and all these different movements has allowed people to express what is going on in their world. Before, we wouldn't listen to them, but now they have social media, so we have to listen to them because they have their own platforms. They have their own places to speak out. So where we used to would just say, nah, Sister Jefferson look crazy. Nah, Sister Jefferson going to the book and she got 5,000 friends that's about to listen to what she's saying and they about to share the shit out of this. Literally, right? Right. So in my own personal experience, right? My grandfather, my other grandfather, my maternal grandfather, right? He has children that aren't a part of the family. And this is a reality that we grew up with, right? We've always swept it under the rug. We've always done the things to protect my grandfather. We've always done because my grandfather was a good man. He was an integral man. He was a prophet. He was a priest. And he could tell you your address literally at the altar. But was he a man? Yes. Did flesh call from time to time? Yes. And this is something that every man struggles with. There is not a man at this table who can tell me that they do not struggle with their flesh.
Absolutely.
But as Craig said, it's your integrity meter. It's your integrity meter that tells you when you're doing right and when you're doing wrong. I.e., in my personal life, I was going through a divorce. I literally went to my pastor and said, we need marriage counseling. While going through marriage counseling, my pastor slept with my wife. I went through my phone records and saw my pastor talking to my wife at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. When I asked the pastor about it, guess what he said? Oh, no, we were just doing counseling. Ain't no counseling going on. Ain't nothing open that time. What your grandma say? Ain't nothing open after 12 but some legs and Taco Bell back in the day. Okay?
It's Waffle House now.
So Waffle House and Denny's. So, you know what I mean? In my personal life, there's not a person or a man that wears that, what's that thing called, Minister Mizell? The collar around his neck that is not still heart beating in flesh. Right. It's up to you to make the right decisions. It's up to you to walk in your calling. It's up to you to do what you know that you're supposed to do as a man. That's every man in here. Whether you walk and put your pants, we all do it the same way. But your integrity meter is up to you, bro. You know that you're not supposed to sleep with Sister Johnson. You know, like my granddaddy did. You know Sister Johnson bringing this cornbread. I'm going to meet you in the parking lot, Sister Johnson, because you ain't getting this dick tonight.
Right.
In Jesus' name.
Right.
But you ain't getting it. Because you ain't going to do nothing but ruin my church. You have no go. Honestly, bro, all of them that I have seen has nothing more on their mind than to have this to hold over your head. So the moment you don't do what they do, they fucking your church up.
Man.
Well, and how
Ricky ain't the only nigga church been fucked up over a baby and a bitch. I'm saying what I'm saying, and y'all can at me at @rock_Cobain if you don't like what I'm saying in Jesus' name. Mizell, what you about to say?
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, man, we gotta. Oh man, let me see how I want to say this. Okay, so if I'm taking the time, and and I'm talking from a parishioner standpoint, if I'm taking the time and I have submitted to a ministry, and and I'm doing what the book says, I'm doing what the Bible says, and then I get messed over by the same person who's preaching that to me. Like that's a place where some people just can't come back from, and that's what you got to understand as a person, as a preacher, as a minister. Watch how you handle the people that you're preaching to, because first of all, them people that you preaching to, they ain't been saved all day life.
Right.
And even if they have been saved all their lives, right? That thing right there took me down a 15-year road of being angry at God. 15 years it took me to get my relationship back with Christ. Because my pastor did what he did, and I prayed to God, asking God, please save my marriage. Please save my marriage. And at this point, all I knew was Christ and to go. So if God, that one rock to your life, is not doing that thing, then you get mad at him. Mm-hmm. But really, it's not really him. You know what I'm saying? It's really not. It took me 15 years to get over that situation and to forgive and really move forward. That's why I'm able to talk about it and still love the people that I'm talking about, still raise kids with the people I'm talking about. But it happened. It's a reality. It took 15 years, guys, for me to say, God, I forgive everything, and I know you were still there with me the entire time, and I was the one who turned my back on you, but it took a long time for me to get to that healing place.
For sure.
So as a pastor, you have a responsibility to your sheep, like Craig was saying. You never know how people will respond from your momentary weakness of flesh. You never know how you affect people from just indulging for that little 5 minutes or whatever you needed.
Yeah, for sure.
15 years it took me to get myself together,
For
Craig.
sure. For sure.
T-Mill.
Like he said, is about far as handling, the congregation. What you went through is unfortunate, and some of these, ministers, they let their flesh lead, and they don't really like directly move from, the book. And it's unfortunate because it's so many people that end up like yourself, angry at God, but you got to separate the two. Like these individuals aren't God. These are men. Like Gene said, they are, the flesh and everything. But on top of that, these people are having struggles themselves.
Yeah, they are.
But
Right.
they get up in the pulpit, and they preach from the book, and people feel that everything is okay with their lives. But it's not. They got struggles and they got different things going on too. Some of them just know how to kind of disguise them a little better than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and let's also shine the light though on the pastors that are like the integral cats that are showing
I know about
up,
2 of them.
I mean, and I mean, if you know 2, that's good. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know about 2 of the possible.
If you know 2, that's
Shout
good.
out to Bishop Duncan. Shout out to Sam Duncan and
so-
Lansing Church of God in Christ.
You feel it? So it's like, shout out to because you can appreciate once you do go through a period where you're dealing with somebody who's mishandling you, whatever relationship that's in.
Yeah.
When you go through that and you're dealing with that, and then you finally get with someone who doesn't mishandle you and who treats you right, changes your whole entire life.
Absolutely.
No, you're 100% right. As far as just in general, focusing on more of the churches that are doing right. Unfortunately, the ones that are coming to the forefront because of
Because of social media.
That's it. It's just because of social media,
For
but
sure.
This has been another good episode, Cobain.
Man.
Take us out of here.
This episode has been awesome, man. I have to shout out my wonderful guest, man. And I know I said man a few times. Fuck y'all. Anyway, Jen, Thank you for driving
Appreciate
all the
you,
way
man.
from Lansing, man. I appreciate you. I'm
man.
going to give you and let you say your final rounds. Let them know where to find you at. Let them know about all the things you got coming up. Gen Vegas.
In Vegas. Catch me on Instagram at the Genesis brand, Big Man Genesis on Snapchat, and you can find me just under Genesis Tramell on Facebook. But lastly, kind of on the tail end of what we were just talking about, whether, we'll just say good and bad, whether good pastor, bad pastor, at the end of the day, we ain't got nowhere to put them. That's all on God.
Well,
And then when you leave it in God's hands, that's all you can do. And then if you are a Christian and you're a believer, my mom used to always tell me, when somebody giving you a problem and they don't never want to, be accountable in it, let the word do the work. Take it to the word. And if the word say, then go with that. Go with that situation. Because there are plenty of times in my life, our situations was too similar. Where I was like, man, was you talking about my thing? Like
crazy.
real similar. Yeah. And so even in that, I wasn't in a space of being mad at God, but I was like, man, God, I want you to restore my marriage, blah, 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 foaming at the mouth and crying and stuff like that, right? About 3 months later, he was like, why? And I was like, because we look stupid, because people think. And I was like, check your bank account. Your bills is paid, right? Bills wasn't paid when you was married. It's like, you was able to go buy a car, right? We struggled buying a car when you was married. All these different things, man. And so, I was never mad at God. None of that kind of stuff. But the moral of the story is let God be God, and we're going to be who we going to be. Because at the end of the day, he got the final say, whether marriage, whether business, whether whatever it is, that's just what it is. Yeah, I ain't got nothing else.
Oh man, Jen, you just hit us with some goodness and mercy.
Hey, man.
Y'all follow Genesis at all of his things. Karaoke Kickback. He has, this guy always works. He's always working, always has something going. You can catch him at least twice or 3 times a week working somewhere in Lansing and surrounding areas and surrounding cities. So y'all go follow Jen
country,
Vegas, man. He ain't local. He global. Bitch! Anyway. All right. So I'm gonna retract the bitch real quick and move on to Mizell, who's a good church Christian. Mizell, I love the new record that you have. Tell us about the new stuff that you have coming out. Tell us about what you're working on. Tell them where to find you. Tell them all that good stuff.
yeah, man. So you can find me on Instagram, Craig Mizell. That's CraigMizellCEO. And you can get to most of everything I got going on. Like, you want to hit up Mizell, MYZEAL Productions.com. See all artists I'm working with, all the people signed to my label. It was so much to talk about. We didn't get to talk about everything, but it's all good. You can find everything right there on anything I'm on. So I just want to tell people, man, hey, this year and moving forward in your life, man, whatever it is that you have dreamed of, whatever it is that you're believing big for, just believe big. Whatever that big thing is, if that's you trying to buy a car, you trying to get a house, you trying to, start a new business, whatever that is, whatever that big is for you, just believe wholeheartedly in it. And understand that, with God, you can do whatever it is. All things are possible, for sure.
So I'm going to have to get Craig Mizell back for a full interview. I feel
definitely.
like we're going to have to bring him back because his story is so deep and so, you guys really got to know his story. So I'm going to extend the invitation, if it's okay with you, in front of the fans. That way he'll have to say, yes, I need you to come back. And to give my audience a full breakdown of everything you do. I need a full 45 from you, okay?
For sure.
So, y'all heard it here first. Craig Mizell will be back, and we're going to do a full interview with Craig Mizell so he can break down truly everything that he's working on and working with in this industry and things that he's been through and seen. T-Mail, give him your last round for episode 6, cuz Neighborhood 6.
So what I got is, remember, you're responsible for yourself, going to church or going wherever you're going for guidance and leadership, it's up to you. You were born here, alone, unless you had a twin or whatever the case, but it's individually yourself and you're responsible for you. So your salvation is up to you, and where you're going to lead yourself is up to you. You know the vibes.
And that's T-Mail, and I always say thank you so much for tuning in again. You could be anywhere, but you're here rocking with us. Whether you're watching us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Live, whatever it is, we appreciate you. We want you to like, subscribe, and please share. We are a growing podcast. We have some great guests coming up this season. You guys stay tuned because it's only going up from here. You hear me? And as I always say, it's a wrap, bitch. Episode 6, we out.